Good evening, everybody. How's it going? It's me, Comic Crack, and it's Sunday night. I'm here to have a little chat. No talk with Rasa this afternoon. Neither of us read very much this week. I read volume 2 and 3 of Rachel Rising, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, this afternoon, pretty much the whole family was sitting down and reading away the afternoon. So I actually read quite a sizable stack of books after that. So we'll talk about them and we'll see what else we get into this week. Considering what's going on in the world, so the only thing that I'll say about things in general is after kind of the one thing that is going to kind of surprise me and boggle my mind is that the lack of trust that should be built up in everybody as to what they're being told about what's going on in the world, as to how things are being kind of reported, what politicians are saying about what's going on in Israel, on the Gaza Strip, with the Palestinians. It will shock the shit out of me if there's any sort of reset where people start trusting the media, the mainstream media, and politicians in any sort of shape or form where maybe they did before this, which would blow me away if that was the fact. But I really don't see a way that any of us can come back from anything that's going on, especially right now, um, with any semblance of trust ever again for anything that we're told and anything that we're kind of reported on, whether it's politicians or whether it's media. I just don't see how that trust is ever going to be won again. And I would say to those who will go back to trusting, you're a fucking knucklehead. I guess I just don't understand I've never really understood the full trust of politicians and any sort of news in general. It's never been something that I've really fully understood. Being skeptical and asking questions, I think, is the best way to go forward. But because we're seeing this kind of extremes now and things are really coming to light, and it's glaringly obvious that there's an angle, and it should be glaringly obvious that there's an angle, and it should be glaringly obvious that there's an agenda, and it should be glaringly obvious that those who are the ones speaking the most about free speech and rights are the ones that are cracking down on those exact things. So it should be glaringly obvious that those people are grifters and have never really held any of those opinions. You can't change those opinions overnight based on what's happening out there that maybe you don't agree with. You can't yell about social justice warriors and the woke destroying campuses and destroying our lives with crushing free speech and then turn around and crush free speech. You just can't. You're a fucking hypocrite. You don't deserve to have a platform to talk about any of these things any longer. Nobody should be listening to you once you've shown your true colors. Again, there's those of us who have always seen through that kind of bullshit, but I really hope that that kind of thing is just glaringly obvious to a strong number of people beyond that, now more so than ever, staying away, not trusting, questioning everything you're being told, no matter where it's coming from, questioning it, not just believing things on face value. And again, something that I've talked about here week after week is just thinking for yourself, coming to your own conclusions, trying your best not to be sucked in by the mob and their kind of group think. Trying your best to think for yourself, I think, is really, really crucial. So it'll be, I hate to say interesting. I'm curious to where things are going to move from this point, because we're seeing such a large number of people protesting and having their voices heard. What's going to happen with some of the social media platforms like TikTok, who I believe have said this week or last week, sometime recently, that they're not for sale. So it doesn't sound like they're going to cave into the United States government kind of push. Um, and I think that's a good thing. I'm very curious again. Yeah, there's a whole lot of bad things about social media, but I do sincerely think that there's a lot of good that come with social media. There's a lot of things that I think because politicians and people in kind of positions of power are looking to crack down on it and looking to ban certain platforms. I think that's very telling that we should be fighting to keep those platforms no matter where they come from in the world. Don't fall prey to kind of the manipulation and the double speak that ends up happening. Um, because they're so adamantly against it, I think we really need to be for it. I don't use TikTok. I have no plans to use TikTok. I don't have any interaction with it other than there's things that pop up on Twitter, or sometimes it'll be referenced in some YouTube videos. That doesn't mean that I don't think that that type of thing and that type of communication isn't important for a certain generation that's on there. It seems to be very political driven, a lot of the stuff that's happening on TikTok from my outsider point of view. Of course, that it goes without saying that there's also going to be things where people don't have all their information and they're maybe spouting some things that are half truths or completely fabricated. But I think that goes for every facet of life, whether you're on social media or whether you're an arm's length away from any of it. There's always that potential, right, for people to misrepresent things and not tell the entire story. So I think that again, to repeat things that I've said in the past few weeks, especially being safe out there when you're on social media, being mindful of your interactions with it, being mindful of who you're following and what kind of information you're opening yourself up to. If you want zero politics in your social media, again, there's ban and block buttons that work just fine. You can kind of streamline your experience on the internet. Be active in that. If you do find yourself fighting that you want to be in touch, but you're kind of wanting to be very specific about the information that you get, by all means, go for it. Like, have that experience for yourself. You don't have to contribute to social media. You don't have to contribute to the noise, but you can kind of tailor your experience with social media and people that you interact with online. Yeah, that even goes for YouTube and listening to me. Obviously, I love it that you come and listen, and I love having the group of people that stop by. Nothing is stopping you from just blocking my ass as well, too, if you think what I'm talking about is nonsense. That is 100% your right to do so. So with that little bit of information and business out of the way, let's talk about some music that came out this week. So my favorite label, Heimat der Katastrophe, out of Italy. Let's make sure we pick the right one. Had a few new releases. I think they were available. If you're a subscriber to Heimat der Katastrophe, you can you get access to new releases a couple of days before the rest of the world gets access to it. So they had, I think, 3 or 4 new releases. This is the one that caught my eye. They do a lot of, talked about them before, but just to kind of repeat myself, they do a lot of dungeon synth type stuff, which some of that I really enjoy, but I find it's the other things that they release that I really kind of gravitate to. And one of those artists is Teeth of Glass. There's a brand new Teeth of Glass album out. I was just listening to it actually before the stream. I can't justify paying for it this time. There's only 1 copy remaining. It's the thing about the Heimat der Katastrophe stuff. If you are into buying physical media like I am, this stuff goes really fast. They do an incredible job of putting a nice package together for these cassette releases. Obviously, you can buy their entire catalog digitally as well, too, so there's no need to actually have a cassette tape, or I think they have a couple of records and maybe a couple of CDs as well, too. I personally think their stuff is always worth listening to. Teeth of Glass is an absolute highlight. This one is no different. the basic premise of this series is there was an Italian. I've shown them off before. There was an Italian magazine type book or fumetti type of thing. It was horror based, called I Racconti di Dracula, 1960s. There was a series of these books. They were hugely popular. They had these incredible painted covers, like you see here in this sample. And Heimat has claimed that there was a TV series propositioned to turn a bunch of these stories into television shows, and it never actually happened. And Teeth of Glass, the composer behind Teeth of Glass, is now releasing the soundtracks for what they were going to do now. Series of pulp novels from 1959 to 1981. There you go. Let's see. Let me just see if I can find the information here. In the 1980s, after the series had closed due to poor sales, someone came up with the idea of making a television adaptation. Local TV networks wanted to finance the production. Unfortunately, due to economic problems, the project did not succeed. What remains are the scripts and the soundtracks composed by the maestro, Denti Di Vetro. So it's a story that I've talked about before where I completely got suckered into it. I feel like it's bullshit. There's still times where they talk about it. They're just really keeping up with this, that it does kind of have this nugget of, well, is it actually true? I don't think that it is. It kind of makes for an interesting experience, though. It's all kind of synth-based, really, really quality stuff, though. So I can totally recommend this album. Let's see if is this still sharing here when I just switch the screen? Yes, it is. So here's kind of a look at their page. So you can see the cassettes there. They always have sounds. They always have samples. Obviously, you can stream stuff right on Bandcamp to have a listen to things. I've got quite a few of their tapes now. It is a bit pricey getting stuff all the way from Italy, but I'm okay with that. Here's another Teeth of Glass here as well, too. So they're planning to do a series of these pulp novel adaptation, TV adaptations from Teeth of Glass. I think they've done 5 now, possibly. So I'm glad that they're keeping up with it. The other one that caught my attention this time around, actually, let's do this. View collection. The other one that caught my attention this time around was this. Oh, it's going to go to another page. Hold on a second here. Let me stop sharing and we'll try that again. This was an older release, HDK number 86, The Rise of the Gazunderlings by Red Gremlin. This is kind of more dungeon synthy type of music on this one. It just sounded a neat premise. It was the Gazunderlings Mine Workers Union. It was these goblins who were trying to form a union, and I thought it was great seeing some actual photo reference for the art inside the booklet itself. So it has kind of the history of that. It looks like it came with a pin as well, too. So this will be a reissue of an earlier HDK release. It sounded pretty great. It was a little more minimal. I did really dig the sound of it, though. Fanfare for the Common Oik, I think that says. An Evil Greater Than Money, last March, of the Fandaliever Mine Workers Union. So very cool kind of premise there in this kind of set in this fantasy type world. So I missed that one. That one completely sold out. But yeah, like I said, you can listen to stuff digitally as well too. So yeah, check out HDK for some music there. The couple of things, I'll get to everybody in the chat there in one sec. A couple of things that I did grab myself, though. Some Aaron Dilloway. Aaron Dilloway, longtime solo artist in kind of the experimental noise scene. He's worked with Wolf Eyes as well too. He had a couple of new releases come out. Hanson Records, I think, is the label that's run by Dillaway. So I picked up a couple of tapes from him. They're on their way now. This was one of them, Bootgar, Sounds of the Kathmandu Horror House. It sounds like it's some field recordings mixed with maybe compositions that he did as well to, again, kind of blur this line between the reality and a bit of like performance. I've sampled some of this and I really dig it. I'm waiting to listen to the whole thing on cassette. I really want to hear it on tape before I go the full digital route there. So that one's on its way to me. And then the other one that's coming is another thing from Dillaway. I wish they would make this easier to share multiple screens here, or at least flip through things. At Wave Farm Plus, and this is, I think this is a live performance. All tracks were made using old sound effects radio carts that were saved from the garbage and gifted to me by my friend Mitchell Brown. Recorded during a 10-day residency at Wave Farm in New York, October 2018. Sorry that I have my screen dimmed, so it's hard to read that there. So again, same thing. I sampled a little bit of this and it sounded pretty great. So jumped on this one as well too. So those are on their way to me. I've got a few Hanson Records stuff. I used to love browsing the Hanson Records webpage and catalog. They carried a lot of amazing stuff. I bought some stuff from them over the years, but it's been quite a long time. Let's see who's here. Sellers, hello. Did I miss an impassioned political preamble? Yeah, it was you missed a little one, a little me of spouting some shit. AFPC, hello. Speaking of adaptations, just came across a comic adaptation of Aronofsky's Pi, written by Aaron. Really? What the hell? I've never heard that exist. Gore Vidal, evening hard looks arrived. Read the first issue. You were right. It's grim. Enjoyed it. Thumbing through the issues, I suspect one must abandon all hope for a happy ending to any story. Yeah, I mean, that was my sense. I'm really glad that you liked it, Gore. So remind me, you got all 10 issues, right? Did you get the whole thing in one kind of chunk? I'm really glad that you liked it, but you're absolutely right. It's not going to be one of those books where you're going to flip a page and it's going to be rainbows and unicorns. It sounds interesting about Pi. Haven't read it yet, but such an oddball. Couldn't pass it up. Yeah. Love Wolf Eyes. Yeah, I really dig some Wolf Eyes stuff too. I like some of their solo stuff a little more. While we're on this, let's see if it's easy to... My collection on Bandcamp, I've had an account on Bandcamp for such a long time. Stuff has really gotten buried over the years. I might not be able to find it. Maybe we'll save that for another stream then, because I'll talk about some of my favorite kind of Wolf Eyes associated albums that I've heard. Yeah, no, nothing's coming up. I'm not going to sit and scroll the whole time there. So we'll save that for another stream, talk about more music. Wave Farm had a residency program for a minute. You should apply. Is that a Vacuum Decay t-shirt? Dan Elson, it sure as hell is. Not only is this the Vacuum Decay t-shirt, but it's also the shirt that I bought the original art from him as well too. So that's in the folder or in the drawers there. Yes, all 10. There's a David Lloyd story in one of the issues. Oh, amazing. It's called Book of Arts. Yeah, Pi Book of Arts. Yeah, hell yeah is right, Dan. Yeah, I've had it for a while. I guess I haven't worn it on a stream. Really, really great design. I love the two colors. Yeah, it's great. I love it. I also don't try to wear it too much because I don't want to stretch it out and get it dirty. White shirts are always a difficult thing to get your hands on and maintain. Okay, let's talk about some books that I read. We'll start here, the thumbnail. So I went to 204 Comics this afternoon. I try to go every Sunday after I drop my son off. I don't always make it, but today I was able to kind of swing by, picked up a couple of books that I had on my pull list, and then dug through the bins. They had a bunch of discount books as well. Pardon me. I found a little graphic novel. They had a one box of like graphic novels, and I think there was Archie Digest in it and stuff like this. So for the most part, no real graphic novels that I was really keen about. I think they were $5 a piece. If you bought 3 or more, I think they went down to $3 a piece. I only found the one, and it was called To Build a Fire, based on a Jack London short story. Shaboot, I think Shaboot is the creator's name. This came out from Simon and Schuster. Was it 2018? Yeah, October 2018 is when this came out. Originally came out, I don't know, they have a date of 2007 to 2016, so maybe it had a lot of editions in France before it finally came out in English. I'm not familiar with the Jack London short story, but it was one of those books that is, it's a winter landscape. It's the gold rush and people trying to survive out in the Canadian wilderness in minus 50-degree temperatures. And this is just a short story about a man and his dog trying to get back to camp as the temperature continues to drop. And throughout the book, he kind of succumbs a little more to the elements with every step, numb fingers and toes, until it kind of gets pretty grim towards the end. If you don't want to know the ending, maybe don't listen, but we'll talk about the whole book, because I had a couple of mixed feelings about this one. I wasn't crazy about the way that the dialogue was going. It was just narration through the whole thing, which I understand. It's just him. Kind of makes it hard to kind of have him talk about himself. It feels like this would have been a good candidate for a silent comic with maybe just a few little narration bits. But the distant trail, no sun in the sky, this great cold, the weighty silence and the strangeness of it all has no effect on you. You are not worried, even though you are a newcomer to this land, and this is your first winter. You are quick and ready in all the things of life. 50 degrees below zero certainly tells you that it is uncomfortable, but doesn't lead you to consider your weakness as a creature affected by temperature, even less to fuss about mortality or man's place in the universe. This frostbite you guard against by the use of mittens, ear coverings, warm moccasins, and a thick pair of socks. Evidently, for you, this is merely this is merely 50 degrees below zero, nothing more. So it was just the kind of, I wasn't digging kind of the rhythm of it. I wasn't digging the you are this and you are that. It was this sort of odd third person type of narration that, for the most part, wasn't really working for me off the bat. I started getting into the flow of it as the book kind of went on, but it was probably my least favorite part of it. What did really strike me about this is, once I was done kind of just flipping backwards through the book, the expert use of color in this book, considering there's so much white on the page, which I automatically love. There's this warmth at the beginning that really starts to fade away. We get a blast of heat when he starts to build a fire, sort of halfway and 3/4 of the way through the book. But by the end, even though there's still color on the page, the entire tone of the book is very cold and very white. I thought it was done amazingly well, to be honest. So I'd recommend this if you do find this anywhere. Even if you read it online, I'd recommend checking this out. It's sort of, it's not totally graphic novel size. It's more kind of Brubaker's Friday. If you have that book, it's more kind of that size of graphic novel. But we'll get to some of the scenes where he builds a fire. Here we go. and you can see even the page itself, the panels get more full, and we get more detail in the background, and there's just less white on the page. So it really kind of brings you into this warmthness, by using the panels so well, and the storytelling so well. It's a really, really good story. And when we get to the end, we get closer to the end, he's starting to freeze to death. He's had an experience where he's tried to build a fire. He's fallen in the water. His fingers are numb. He can't use them to light matches. He can't feel his toes. First signs of frostbite and being out in the cold. I know that feeling all too well. Unfortunately, don't have frostbite, but on the verge of it. It's so well done. It's just a beautifully, again, keeping with the kind of maybe grim theme of things. Sorry for my filthy hands. The grim feel of things these days. This doesn't end well. He does freeze to death. And then we get kind of a couple of times throughout the story, we get the dogs. Kind of the narration focuses on the dog of, the reason why the dog is following you around is because you've introduced the dog to fire, and the dog knows that if he stays with you at some point, there's going to be warmth. Once the dog realizes, hey, this guy isn't going to provide for me, I better get the hell out of here. And we're left with our last page of kind of the dog going off to find the town himself and find a new master who's going to keep him warm. So the kind of cold and cruelness of nature in one final page. So it was really enjoyable for that. And like I said, flipping backwards through the book and almost kind of animating the colors and how it kind of gets warmer and warmer as you go to the beginning. Exceptional stuff. So a real strong book this week for sure. Joan and Jello, hello. Let's see, what did I miss here? The pie book came up at the Koch warehouse today. Man, I'm envious that you still get to go there. They had a sale, as much as you can fit in a short box, for $65, left with close to 250 books. Dude, that's fucking amazing. Yeah, I'm jealous as hell too. Lord Tatman, how are you? Hello. Yeah, Joan and Jill, to build a fire, incredible. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just such a kind of, it's very kind of a minimal story. It's just a guy trying to make it back to camp. That's it. It doesn't really go into why he's there or what riches he's leaving behind or going for. It's just, I need to get from point A to point B and not die. So really, really nice, quick read. Have you read London's The Iron Heel? No, I haven't, AFPC. London was a great writer. Amazing how much he wrote and died so young. Iron Heel, about a fascist government taking over the U.S., is a book I'll revisit this year. Excellent writer. Well, there you go. Two people mentioning it back to back. I will 100% check it out. Oh, and another recommendation there. Yes, great. Yeah, great ending. Nice ending. New to me. Thanks. No worries. Did you get, I don't know if you saw, I was talking Heimat der Catastrophe. Did you end up getting yourself a copy of Teeth of Glass? I couldn't justify the purchase. It was the only tape that I wanted this time out of the small group of things. And it's so expensive to order one tape and shipping to here in Canada. Did you grab something for yourself? Okay, so that's it for that one. We'll put that up there. Let's go to the other graphic novels. So very happy to report I didn't get Teeth of Glass, but I enjoyed listening to it. Yeah, I was just listening to it all before the stream here. It's a good one. So the one that I finished this week, or I finished these two books anyway. I have the first 3 volumes of Rachel Rising. I know it's not the whole series, but the first 3 are the ones that I had. I read these pretty much back to back. I am a huge Terry Moore fan now. That was so far an incredible story. One of the things that really struck me about Rachel Rising, first of all, again, there's some beautiful art taking place in the winter as snow is falling, representing all the people that are dying. Um, I was really taken with the storytelling and the characters. And in some of these, I was really taken with the fact that he injects this kind of cartoony humor and almost like Love and Rocketsy type of relationships and kind of dialogue where it has this kind of natural flow to it, even though you're reading a story, pardon me, about a couple of people who can't die and a small coven of witches that are kind of coming back to seek revenge on this town for their deaths way back when. Uh, Such a good book, and this 10-year-old serial killer being possessed by a demon. Malice, I think his name was Malice. Yeah, Malice. I really really loved this. I'm really looking forward to picking up the rest to finish this off. Uh, I mean, it's some of those books where, oh man, this whole scene, yeah, there were so many touching moments in here. So Jet dies. One of the characters, Jet, dies, and the mortician, whose name I'm blanking on right now. Um, Damn it, I can't remember this guy's name. Someone will tell me in the chat. There was the moments where he was sitting with her, where she was saying to him, like, yours is the only touch I can actually feel. Will you just sit here and hold my hand? Just really touching storytelling, man. This relationship between the two of them, and this guy who's just madly in love with her, who just doesn't have the courage to talk to her about it. So great, so great. Yeah, I really, really enjoying this book a lot. I love his art style. It's so kind of deceptively simple, with again lots of white space. There's not a ton of. It's not that there isn't any details, because obviously some panels there's an incredible amount of detail, but he uses that so well. And I just find like he's just a really great storyteller, moving this story along and giving you these chunks of information that really make it compelling, going from scene to scene. It's really flawless, kind of seamless reading. Uh, it's hard to kind of stop, honestly, which is why I kind of fired through these so quickly behind each other. So with those out of the way, when I was at the shop today, they had book one of Serial on the shelf. So I got it and I read it this afternoon. I didn't realize that it was a 10-issue thing. For some reason, I thought it was only a 5-issue, that it was only one book. And I think, oh no, it does have a number 1 on the spine there. I didn't notice that before. I thought it was only one book. So when it came to the end of it, the other thing that kind of struck me was, first of all, I was a little disappointed. I'm like, that can't be the end. And then did some looking and, of course, found out that it wasn't. But I was struck with, I found these first 5 issues were a real, this is a good, complete story. It could end here, and yes, I would want more for sure, but I loved the ending of this first book. It was done not in a way of, we're going to give you this cliffhanger of an ending because we want you to come back for book 2, or it wasn't maybe that idea of people writing books these days, comics these days, to write them for the trade, where you do get that chunk, but it does leave you wanting more. It felt like one complete story. And that last issue number 5, I think was my favorite out of all of the issues, because each situation, each of our kind of serial killers in this are met with kind of a beast that's in pain, so to speak, in the words of one of the characters. An animal that's in pain, and you see how each of them react to that animal. Zoe reacts one way, and then this serial killer lady, whose name I don't remember, she acts incredibly different towards the guy that she's talking to at the bar. Pretty violent stuff, no doubt about it. Pretty dark. These pages were fantastic too, where she was practicing her kind of mask, practicing being a happy person to kind of portray that as this sociopath, not actually knowing what those emotions feel like. She's trying to just be a mimic. Pages like this I thought were really nice too. So really great. Another one I can't wait to check out book 2 of this one. That'll be something I get maybe if I can find it maybe next week. I'll try to pick that up. So but yeah, very satisfying read even just for the first volume there. Let's see. I didn't see it. No, I saw it afterwards. And then I saw your email talking about it. I wasn't online early enough today to catch it live. I'd love to catch a live stream from him though, to listen to him talk and interact maybe with, I don't know if he interacts much with the chat or not, but he showed a hilarious drawing of Jabba the Hutt and Hulk in a bikini. That's amazing. I'm going to take your recommendation after Rachel Rising. After your last few videos, my local shop has volumes 3 and 4, so I just need to track down the first couple. Yeah, I would strongly recommend it. Grab them if they're cheap, and then keep your eyes out for the other ones. On the live stream, he said he put in personal matters into Rachel Rising that would cause him to choke up if he talked about them. Whoa, that's pretty great. Maulless, great name for an anti-capitalist antagonist. Absolutely. In Strangers in Paradise, there's an even more moving story where Kachu visits a dying friend, and that's the thing. Like, I've got to get into that. I've read a little bit of Strangers in Paradise, but not nearly as much as I would like to. I've got to kind of get my hands on that stuff too. For Jarelli, hello. I've got a nice sketch from Moore's art sale. A lot of people that have gotten into Terry Moore more recently don't like Strangers in Paradise. Yeah, I was even talking to Rasa today. She said that she enjoyed Stranger in Paradise, but she likes Rachel Rising more. And she said, I don't know if that's just because I read Rachel Rising first before Strangers in Paradise, but that's the one that kind of left its mark on her a little more. I'm not terribly affected by Moore's art. Yeah, I hear that. Young Tatum O'Neal or Diane Lane would make a great Zoe. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to digging into more of his stuff. What else do we have? We have this. Oh, yeah, we have this. Okay. Got about 4 or 5 more books here. Unless I'm missing something. Oh, no, I am missing something. Here we go. This one we'll do with this. Sorry, let me jump around here a bit. So, man, book 5, I got to show both of these. I had to get, I had to double dip and get 2 different covers for this because I feel like they work so beautifully together. This is Ram V and Philippe Andrade, Rare Flavors. This is issue number 5. I think there's one more issue to go. Here's kind of the A cover, and then here's the B cover. The B cover is gorgeous. It kind of, there's some kind of trad Moore-ish shapes to it. The coloring is beautiful on this front cover. It has that kind of, I don't know, soft feel to it just by the look of it. But I loved this cover, a lot, and I love what they did with the Rare Flavors. As usual, this was an amazing issue. We're coming to the end of our story here, so we have the 2 demon hunters that are coming for our main character. And they're using this director, his director friend, to kind of get at him. Of course, we get another recipe in this one. It's a mixed Indian / Asian dish called triple Szechuan rice. So we talk about that. We get to hear the origin story of these 2 demon hunters and how they kind of came to be who they are. They talk about their kind of master, I guess, or father figure that kind of brings them in. So it's just such a good book. So our main character has decided to kind of leave because he knows the inevitable outcome, and he decided to stop eating people, and he's decided to kind of go back into his cave underground and never mess with humanity again, which means therefore you never have to come and look for me because I'll cease to be a demon. You have no reason to hunt me any longer. And he leaves it up to the film director to kind of complete his story however he sees fit. So I imagine in our last wrap up, we're going to see some of that. There's some beautiful coloring in this as well too. There has been the whole time, but I feel like in this issue, it kind of stepped up. It's kind of stepped up the just quality of the entire book. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I think they're a great duo. I'm hoping that they write some more and do some more books together. So really looking forward to this wrapping up, but also I'll be sad to see it go. It feels like there was quite a gap between the two, between issue number 4 and 5. I don't know if that's just my perception of it or if it was longer than kind of a month during the time that they came out, but there you have it. So the other book that I found today, Ram V seems to be everywhere. So I got 2 more books that Ram V had a hand in writing, or one of them is written by him and one of them is written with someone else. The next Universal Monsters series is out. We talked about Dracula last time. This is Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives, and this one is a dud. Issue number 1, it's a dud. I'm kind of disappointed. I wasn't expecting to be blown away by the Dracula one, but because it kind of took me by surprise, I was kind of looking forward to seeing what would happen with this one. It's not off to an interesting start whatsoever. Dan Watters and Ram V are writers on this. Matthew Roberts and Dave Stewart on colors, obviously, or Matthew Roberts is the artist, Dave Stewart on colors. The art itself doesn't catch me. The story itself isn't really that interesting. It feels kind of like this serial killer hunt that's going on, and then the Creature from the Black Lagoon is kind of shoehorned into there. It doesn't really, I mean, I know it's only the first issue and it's kind of the setup, but it doesn't really kind of instill any sort of interest in me after reading this first issue. I'll probably end up getting it because it's a mini series. I don't have a ton of books on my pull list, so I'll probably give it a good shot and get the rest of the issues. But if you're curious about this kind of Universal Monsters line, I would say start with the Dracula. Maybe sleep on this one and let's see what they come out with after this. So not probably the least interesting read of the week. And then the other Ram V that I grabbed, I didn't know about this book, so I missed issue number 1. This is issue number 2. I read it this afternoon and was kind of amazed by the art. It's called a Dawn Runner, and it's sort of a mech fighter kind of book is with the impression that I'm getting. Our main character, who is kind of in control of this kind of mech fighter, something has happened where she's gone offline for like 6.5 minutes in the first issue, and they didn't know what happened. There was no sign of life. They couldn't kind of even detect a heartbeat. And then 6.5 minutes later, she reappears to kind of complete the battle. I feel like this is all televised. This is a very popular kind of sport. So the crowd was asking questions too. And of course, this is the owner here. He kind of played it up like, we were doing that to heighten the drama and heighten the intensity. The art and coloring in this is really gorgeous. Evan Cagle, I think is what that says. Script by Ram V, art by Evan Cagle, colors by Dave Stewart again. And again, Dave Stewart knocks it out of the park. This has a real kind of anime, kind of manga feel to it. And it exists pretty well within that kind of mech type of world. And And the fight scenes are really just this burst of color and these abstract shapes and patterns and things. So you can't really make out what's going on. You never really you get very rarely do you get a full image of what you're looking at here. So here's our kind of big reveal of the mech that she's in control of. And then, of course, it touches on that this may be an entity from another world. And again, this is me guessing because I'm missing that first issue, that has its own intelligence that they've been able to tap into. So at the end of the book, she kind of enters back into kind of pairing up with this mech so she can go back to this, I guess, I don't know if it's memories that she's exploring, where she kind of goes back to meet up with this guy that I'm assuming is who she was talking to in the first issue, who's in this other world where he's looking for his family. There's been a huge amount of destruction that's happened, and he's currently searching for his wife and kids. So she's there as this kind of voice in the sky talking to him again. So I do feel like I'm missing quite a bit, missing that first issue, but I couldn't resist. It was the last copy he had on the shelf too, so I figured I should jump on it. But not sure if anybody else is reading Dawn Runners, but or Dawn Runner, but pretty cool little take. Yeah, cover on that dud though. I've never seen the original Creature from the Black Lagoon movie. Yeah, no, it's a hell of a cover. It's just like you said, it's a dud, all right, that's for sure. I've seen the Creature from the Black Lagoon a lifetime ago, but nothing that really stuck with me out of those kind of classic monster movies. You never got. I'm surprised to hear that you never got the Moore fandom, but to each their own. I guess, yeah. I mean, it's completely up my alley, this Tradd Moore stuff. I love his kind of 60s type of psychedelic work that he does. It's really, I mean, to my eyes, it's gorgeous stuff. And like I said, just kind of the shapes and his just real abstractness with a page, I think, is what really draws me in. You get these kind of soft shapes. Everything is very fluid, but it is so incredibly abstract to me that I'm amazed that he would get work at a company like Marvel when it's not clear storytelling whatsoever. It's really kind of pushing all different areas of style in a book and just in storytelling, period. The story itself in this Doctor Strange, I think I talked about it when it came out, it wasn't anything that blew me away story wise, but I loved just flipping through every single page of this, really. And same with Silver Surfer Black and the other stuff I've read from him. One of those guys that just really works for me. Rare Flavors, yeah, the coloring is great. Love the idea of recipes in the comic. Cool stuff. Yeah, it's really great. Everyone raving about Ram V, but check out the works of Ram 1 through 4 if you haven't. Great stuff. Amazing. That's a surprise given the team on the book. Yeah. There's a great recipe instructional sequence in a Dash Shaw book on how to extract fibrous material from banana peels, dry it, and smoke it. Come on. Can't remember off top, but I think it's Guard. Amazing. Oh, Garden Head. Noted on that Dash Shaw book. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Terry Moore. Too many Moores. Tradd's dope. Okay, Terry Moore. There you go. Too many Moores. We need more Moores. Michael Moore, Roger Moore. A couple more books to go. I jumped on TMNT issue number 150. It felt like it was something I didn't want to pass up. It was an expensive book, but there you have it. I grabbed it. I read it, completely lost so many things going on that I have no idea about. As I read it, I'm like, why did I do this to myself? It's not really fair, because it's just not, it's not fair of me to kind of necessarily talk about this with any sort of actual criticism or praise or anything, because there's just so much I don't understand in this book. But I guess what I do kind of understand is that this is it, and that there's going to be a new arc. There's going to be a new #1. The Jason Aaron stuff is going to be coming out. So it's going to be a new era of TMNT. It does really feel like they're trying to bring it a new generation, completely new characters, where it does feel like they're going to move away from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the whole, as we've kind of known them anyway, and which is something that Rasa was talking about in some of the videos there. So it's a little unfair to say anything more than that, because I just feel like I don't know enough about that new stuff to kind of speak to it. Now, on the other hand, the other thing that's also unfair is then I go back and read this. This was something I found in a cheap bin the other week. I guess IDW did a bunch of color classics. This is City at War Part 1, which I think was issue number 50 of the original TMNT run. I haven't read up to that point yet in the original run. This was fucking phenomenal. It was mostly a silent issue, and even seeing, this is Eastman, story and art by Eastman, Laird, and Jim Lawson. I think this was the first time that Eastman and Laird had done the book together since like issue 11 or something like that. This was such a good book. I was actually listening to the Teeth of Glass album while I was reading this, and it was working pretty well with this. I loved this. Even in color, that energy is still there. The storytelling is incredible. The breakup of the pages and the panels on the pages I thought was really phenomenal. I know that this City at War stuff is kind of heralded as kind of the first, maybe not the first, but as like a real strong point of that early TMNT stuff. I have heard about it many times in the past, but I just love the grittiness of this early stuff. Just so cool, and the kind of different storylines that are going on and things sort of culminating. You kind of get a feel of what's going on, but it still seems very disjointed. All of these characters experiencing their own thing. Splinter kind of meditating, waiting for something. The Turtles getting a sense that something is going on, and they've got to get out from the farm, I think is where they are, to come back to the city. We have this lone character who I think maybe is the one responsible for planting that bomb, listening to what's going on in Russia. And then we get our big page of City at War, which is fantastic. Like that is just a dude doing some lettering on a page. It's so great, man. And again, when I revisit this stuff, it's always the reminder of I've got to get back into reading these early issues. I've got to kind of get on the hunt for some more of these and kind of continue my Ninja Turtle reading, because this is just comfortable, fantastic storytelling. I love this world. I really, really dig it. Everything about it is right up my alley. So, and it's just fun is the other thing. It's just fun stuff. And again, it's really easy to see why these guys would have taken the world by storm in kind of the 80s and 90s comics. You can easily see why they had such an impact. It's its own thing. But the Teeth of Glass album worked really well with this one. Let's see. City War issues are pricey. I don't doubt it. I do not doubt it. Not sure where your take is, but I thought it was quite powerful, mature work. Found it very moving. We're talking this one, AFPC, right? Or you're talking about the Dash Shaw that was mentioned above, I think is what you're talking about. Yes. Hello, Damien. Interesting that Laird and Eastman drew so few TMNT issues. Yeah, together they just kind of did their extra ones. The farm issues are some of my favorite. Awesome. I'm really looking forward to getting into that era of it. I don't remember what I left off at, but I know I've got a chunk. The original April with Amy Irving hair and Jennifer Beals profile is my favorite turtle. Read them while blasting the TMNT 1990 score, or read them, yes. Terrence, I had that Teeth of Glass release playing in the car while driving. Second track, Ottoman Corinthia, freaked me out at about 18 seconds in, though the sound was coming outside vehicle. Oh, thought the sound was coming from outside the vehicle. Amazing. And then finally tonight, a little bit of an independent work that I've had sitting here to read for a while. Jasper Krentz, Magnet Head. I've had this for a while and finally dug into it today. And I got to say, I was really impressed with it, actually. I really dug this. It's a real nice mix of autobio, almost like sketchbook, just kind of unloading everything on the page. And then there's even like the opening little strip is this nice little comedic one pager about this little guy in his favorite chair. I love my big chair. And a big guy comes and sits on him and he gets squashed. And there's a nice photo hanging on the wall of him in his chair. Just a real nice intro of, okay, so what have we got here in Magnet Head? So Jasper Krentz, oh, this is 2023. So this is last year. And then we get into this autobio type of story where my head hit the ground hard almost a year ago today. Harder than I thought at the time because I still get constant headaches. Veg out, the doctor at the ER told me to veg out. What the fuck does that even mean? No music, no reading, no drawing, no thinking for a couple of weeks. I would call out from my dark room, "Mom, I'm thinking again," and try to shut it off. Resting is allowing your mind to wander and explore. This didn't feel like resting. Sinking into a bath in the dark was the highlight of my days. I was just supposed to live subconsciously, spending hours begging my mind to shut up for a second. I wasn't sure if I was even allowed to dream. I took a walk outside after about a week. The sun felt like it was burning my ears, and the sounds of people upset me. Every element just made me angry. So dealing with this head trauma and the effect on his personality, really nice little story. And it feels like this kind of sets the tone for the rest of the book. Because in some of the pages, you get the sense that he's still kind of working out some of those demons as he kind of exists going to school, and his head is like, you know, like he says, like the name of the book, a magnet head. His head seems to be a magnet for all of these things now that he has this he's dealing with this post-concussion and these headaches. Things are constantly knocking him in the head. People are grabbing him by the head. They're rubbing his head, all sorts of things, everything that is causing him to get these incredible pains, where it starts having a real negative effect on just him as a person and his mood. So good. Really great storytelling. Very, very clear. Like you do get the sense there's this kind of journal element to it. And then we get pages like this, where we get almost like a centerfold collage spread of a bunch of art. So I think it's the one color page of the whole thing. And then, oh no, there's a couple of color pages. We also get a story about, we get a couple of relationship stories, a one pager here where he's trying to talk to his friend. Oh shit, really? AFPC. Oh shit, Jasper was my student at Cooper. That's incredible. You get this relationship stories here where he's trying to kind of get with one of his friends and she completely just turns him down. And we also get another, here's some more kind of collage-y, kind of sketchbooky type pages that I really, really dig. Has a real strong underground comics vibe to this stuff. And then we get this two-pager, which I loved as well. Kind of meeting this girl and kind of this budding romance. And she kind of just ghosts him. Not sure, and you're never really sure of why that is. Maybe she felt he wasn't interested because he didn't actually try to kiss her or anything like that. So you just have this young guy that's trying to deal with relationships with the opposite sex. Really, really great, and I love his style. So the store in town that had this fantasy island, they had a couple of other of Jasper's stuff. This was weeks ago that I got this. I want to try to make it back there this week to see if they still have anything and pick something up from him. Because yeah, this kind of blew me away a little bit. Very it's magazine size. Yeah, very raw art as well too. So yeah, so amazing stuff. TMNT look good. Magnet Head, do show, do tell. Leo 10, then 11 is a great story arc. Then 19 to 21, Return to New York. Still need to read City at War. Hello, Senior Vidal. You confused a few people with your lawyers. That must have been a stream, I guess. Been reading World War II books after seeing Zone of Interest. Oh, geez, yeah. We'll be reading Commandant Rudolf Haas's autobiography he wrote in prison before he was executed. They need better lawyers. Oh, shit, Jasper was my student. Yeah, that is amazing. The Cooper Union. Are you an art professor? As a kid, I fantasized about going to Cooper Union. I've never heard of it. But I'm just a Canadian. That is it. That's all that I have this week. We're hoping to get together, Rasa, and I next week for our Sunday chat. We'll see how it goes. Depends on how this week pans out and how much I read. It was really great to finally have a day to sit down and really just dive into some comics. I feel like I haven't done it to this degree in quite a long time. So it was really rewarding to kind of sit and read today and kind of take my mind off of stuff. I've broken 100. I've had 116 books for this year's 500 comic goal. So I've still got a long ways to go. Thankfully, we still have 8 months to go now. So I'm hoping I can make the 500. It feels at this point, though, that I might not make 500 this year for the first time in a few years. But it was so good to kind of sit and read today. I'm hoping I have some more time to do that this week. That's it. Thank you very much, everybody. It's always good to see you all. And thanks for the chat as we go through. And we'll see you next week. Later.